All right, I waited about a day before I did this review in order to wait for the video to be put up so that I could put it in the description, and of course it will be in the description as usual. So let's get to it. This is a review between two top level contenders, two former champions, Francisco Rodriguez Jr., aka Chihuas, meaning Titanium, versus Ramon Garcia Hirales, aka Principe, or Prince in English. Um, Gar- Garcia Hirales was a former 108-pound champion. Rodriguez Jr. is a former unified 105-pound champion. He had the IBF and the WBO. Ramon Garcia Hirales had the WBO light flyweight title. They fought this fight, though, at flyweight at 112, largely due to Francisco Rodriguez's weight troubles recently. He had a fight that was an eliminator, a title eliminator for 108-pound championship against Moises Fuentes. He missed weight by a little over a pound. So this fight was at 112, but he actually made weight pretty handily. He was weighed in at 110 officially. Ramon Garcia Hirales weighed 111 and a quarter. So I mean he made weight pretty easily too. And even though he was lighter on the scale, I'd say Rodriguez looked a little bit bigger in the ring, and that seemed to play a little bit of a part in the way the fight turned out. Basically, early on, Ramon Garcia Hirales was starting off well. He had a good lead lefts to the body, a good probing jab, and good defense. That pretty much lasted for the first two rounds, although Francisco Rodriguez Jr. started to get going pretty much towards the end of the second round, and especially into the third, where he started doing a maneuver that's known to most people as shifting. It's like he'd be in the orthodox stance, he'd throw a right hand, and then he'd immediately be in the southpaw stance and throw a left hand from the southpaw stance. And he did this repeatedly throughout the bout from the third round on. And this actually garnered him a lot of success because Ramon Garcia Reales has a habit in the past of pulling straight backwards. And if you pull straight backwards against a guy that's going to shift on you, that's going to put you in direct line of fire for all the shots that he throws, especially if they're straight punches down the middle, which Rodriguez was able to throw a lot of, along with a lot of good uppercuts and hooks. He started shifting, and he was actually moving. He was moving Garcia Hirales around a lot because Garcia has a habit of putting a little bit too much weight on his front foot on the right foot because he's a southpaw fighter. Rodriguez is a switch hitter, although he tends to favor the orthodox stance more. And Rodriguez pretty much started dominating from the third round into the fourth round. He was landing good shots. He was bullying Garcia. Garcia just didn't seem to have the physical strength to quite match him. It's like Garcia was trying to be a bit more of a finesse fighter, a defensive kind of counterpuncher. But the problem is a lot of the times when he was pulling in the same directions, either back or back into his left, which made it so that Rodriguez was able to anticipate that, throw feints, and then throw a shot and do his shifting into his shot, and pretty much hit Garcia with heavy power. Even if it wasn't a flush shot, he would hit him with enough force that it would move him. So like even if he hit him on the gloves or on the arms or something, it would move Garcia around and make it look a lot worse than it might have been. But just overall, Rodriguez was landing the cleaner, more effective blows and more often too, because Garcia was a little bit too patient. He was overly patient. He was landing good sharp punches when he would get off, but the problem was when he would pull back, he pretty much just allowed Rodriguez to get full momentum and kind of overwhelm him. In round six, Garcia managed to get a little bit of a mini comeback. Rodriguez seemed to just a tad tired, and when Garcia had him at pretty much mid-range at the end of a jab, he was able to get that round. He nicked that round again. And so by that time, the rounds were pretty much even. In round seven, though, after Garcia had one of his better rounds, Rodriguez came out like crazy and just, started shifting and throwing punches from all angles, almost like a mini Pacquiao. And he dropped Garcia in the first minute with a really well leveraged right hooking cross. It's like he was pretty much playing. It's like it's like a textbook right hooking cross that you would teach somebody to throw on like a heavy bag, and he hit Garcia flush with it, dropped him, and then immediately after Garcia got up, Rodriguez ran across the ring and put him down again with a left hook and then a right hooking cross after that. He dropped him again, of course. Garcia, however, was able to recover pretty quick, and he was doing fairly well throughout the rest of the round. until the very last like 10 seconds. Rodriguez rocked him again out of the southpaw stance with a right hook. In round 8, Rodriguez buckled him again with a feint and a left uppercut that made Garcia's glove touch the ground, the canvas rather, and the ref, gave him the standing 8. And then it was a bit more of a boxing match after that because Rodriguez realized that he wasn't going to just blow him out with one shot. He was trying to time him a little bit more and try and catch him by surprise with some of those shots out of the ambush style, the ambush shifting style that he was using. Round 10 was a little bit more of the same. Uh, Although Garcia was landing the sharper counters, um, Rodriguez was still shifting and everything, but Garcia was landing the sharper counters, and I wound up giving him that round. All in all, I had it 96-91 for Francisco Rodriguez Jr. The judges had it 98, 99-88, 99-89, and 96-91. One of the judges had it the same as me, which basically meant that Rodriguez won 6 rounds to 4, but due to 3 knockdowns, he got 3 extra points, so it was 96-91. After this, I mean, this is Garcia Hirales' I believe, 4th loss in a row. He lost to Javier Mendoza, losing his world title to Mendoza. Or actually, I don't even think he had the world title. It was a vacant title, rather. And then he also recently lost to Juan Hernandez, who was one of the candidates to become a potential opponent for Roman Chocolatito Gonzalez. Incidentally, actually, both of these guys have fought Chocolatito Gonzalez. Ramon Garcia Hirales got knocked out, I believe, in the 4th or the 6th round against Gonzalez, and Rodriguez Jr. went the full 12 to Gonzalez, which then after that, of course, he wound up winning 2 world titles at minimum weight. He won the IBF and then he won the WBO and then he unified with the IBF against Takayama, a Fight of the Year candidate. Rodriguez is only 22 also, so I mean he's a young guy to have accomplished as much as he has so far, and even though he lost to Gonzalez and also to Donny Nietes, who's a world champion, he's the current WBO light flyweight champion, and he lost his last fight by split decision to Moises Fuentes, um, in a fight that he was overweight for, uh, which was an eliminator to get a rematch at Donny Nietes. But in spite of that, Rodriguez Jr. is still pretty much a top contender, and he's still learning. He's one of these guys that he started young, he's learning on the job, and he's still a viable opponent. I'd say for a lot of opponents. Especially guys that like to sit back and counterpunch. He's gonna be hell for guys like that, simply because of the fact that he puts on so much pressure and he throws punches from all angles. So Rodriguez racks up a win, and I mean, hopefully for his sake, he may get another title shot or maybe lead into another fight for a title shot. I mean, really, I wouldn't favor him over any of the title holders at 112 at the moment. Uh, I think he would be viable though against I'm not Ronrong, who tends to love to fight at a more patient pace. I think the rapid pace that Rodriguez has to fight at would give Ronrong some problems, and or Kazuto Yoka. I think that would be a slugfest. I think that would be like a fight of the year candidate if he were to fight Kazuto Yoka. But I'd say he'd most likely get stopped by Estrada or Gonzalez. And I mean, neither of them are. He's really not in the position to fight either of those guys in the first place anyway. Right now, it's looking like Estrada's next opponent is going to be Roman Gonzalez's cousin, actually. I'm forgetting his name at the moment. I think Christopher Rosales. That's what his name was, Christopher Rosales. And then he's looking to fight Donny Nietes, moving up. One of the top 108 pounders moving up in September or November. And then Roman Gonzalez, of course, has McWilliams Oreo ahead, and then he might be moving to 115 after that, if not trying to rematch Estrada. So that's all for this one. I'll catch you on the next.